unboxing of this with you guys. This is the brand new CD release, first time ever on CD, of Liza Minnelli's Live in New York 1979 album. This is the Ultimate Edition. It's 3 discs. For a lot of years this was like known as the Lost album, but this one, the first disc is the Liza's privately pressed commemoration of her historic 1979 run at Carnegie Hall, and CDs 2 and 3 are the complete show, all unreleased performances. And it has a deluxe 36-page booklet. This just came out. Actually, technically, it's not even out on the street yet. Like, I got this pre-ordered and they mailed out early, but the street date isn't until July 1st, I believe. And I got this on June 18th because it arrived on Paul McCartney's birthday. So I would like to show off first, though, before I unbox this. And obviously this isn't a review because it's still sealed. I haven't had time to listen yet. I'll probably do that like tomorrow or something. But I'd also like to show off the re-release of the vinyl, too, that they did. This I got for my birthday, although I think they released it in like September of last year. I got it in January. So same cover. Here's the back cover, has the awesome gatefold of what the stage looked like. But the main reason I want to show it off was because they did this on this really gorgeous pink vinyl. But I just wanted to show you guys because it's so pretty. And I think this is the first pink vinyl I've ever owned. I've had other colored vinyls, never of Liza and never in pink. And also the little mini booklet. There's a much better booklet that comes with this, guys. Oh, man. Like, we got some good pictures and stuff in here, but I will show off the others. And I don't know what to expect in it. I don't know if it's just going to be a smaller version of this or what. But I wanted to show that off because it's really cool, and I realized I never got around to showing it because I never did do what I got for my birthday this year video. Fail on me. So I mixed up what I got for my birthday and Christmas and then realized, oh shoot, I'm too lazy for this. So anyway, for the CD, let's very, very carefully, here's the back also, in case anybody wants to see, very carefully open this up. They at least made it like really, really simple to peel open. I appreciate that. I had a box cutter at the ready, didn't even need it. So, okay. So we've got a little box here. Oh, okay. This is already hella nicer with like stuff in here. Are we disc one? Are we the booklet's over here? This side opens up. I feel like one's loose in here, but I could be wrong. Yeah, this is disc 1. Yeah, we've got this gorgeous picture here. And then opens for 2 and 3. Okay, maybe nothing was actually loose. It just sounded like they were loose. Very strange. So behind each disc, there's more pictures. So I'm going to take each disc out so we can see them. Oh, okay. All right. So behind disc 1, we've got this, which was definitely in the booklet of the vinyl. Let's carefully pop that back in. Behind disc 2, we've got this picture. And then behind disc 3, I thought this photo was from Liza with a Z, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. From the bit in the cabaret medley where she's doing the song Married. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 99.9% positive I'm right. Anyway, so let's look at the booklet, which is the main reason we are doing this video, and why we're doing it separate from the review, because I have a feeling this is going to be a while. Okay, so the picture that's the gatefold in the vinyl is the cover of the booklet. Do we have just a bunch of... Oh, okay. So we have a lot of written stuff in here. I may be filming this in portions today because I have a feeling I'm going to run into dinner time. Oh, there's a lot of good stuff. So, okay. Page 1, we have this epic picture here that I'm pretty sure is from City Lights. We have a quote from Liza that she wrote on July 23rd of last year. My memories of Carnegie Hall are rich, and I wanted to do something special for that engagement, not just another concert. I talked to Fred Ebb, about making the entire thing presentational and through composed acting piece, and I think we succeeded. Thank God for Fred. We created the whole thing side by side. Ooh, Dora made me jump. Side by side, and listening to it again makes me feel happy. I've always wanted to give people hope, and I can sum it up in 2 words. Say yes. Then we have a much longer piece by Michael Feinstein that is not dated. For many years, there has been a gap in the currently available Liza discography because her first iconic Carnegie Hall recording has been long out of print and was never generally available, being sold only at her live concert appearances. I also do have that original on vinyl too, but that goes without saying. It's a remarkable document among the many great milestones of her career and was the culmination of a decade where she truly came into her own. The palpable excitement of that moment in time is beautifully preserved in this reissue, and it's a minor miracle that the tapes were safely preserved. Liza is justifiably proud of her achievement, being the first person to sell out Carnegie Hall for 11 shows, only to later break her own record by famously selling out 3 weeks of shows there in 1987. But there is something visceral and seminal about this earlier performance that shines through and continues to galvanize us in the way only she is able. In these days, when she does not appear in public as often, documents such as this recording have become more personally important to her, for even though she long ago achieved legendary status, something she does not think about nor feel, she also sees the contemporary emphasis on her persona and notoriety in a way that can obscure the reason she became famous. It is the work itself that she is most proud of, the ability to touch and change a life that most matters to her. This recording will help remind people of that very thing, for your appreciation of her art is what makes her most happy. And in these times, that matters a great deal. It is pretty beautifully written. Okay, so then we've got this photo here. Does it say who wrote this, or... I'm just going to flip through real quick. Okay, it does. So, this first section. It's up to you, New York. Liza Minnelli takes Carnegie Hall. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, goes the old joke, but in Liza Minnelli's case, the answer was determination, guts, hard work, and bravura talent. Bravura? I think it's bravura. Anyway, right before a show, I feel like a racehorse before it leaves the gate, she confided to her old friend Andy Warhol in his interview magazine. But once I set foot on stage, I'm home. The storied venue on West 57th Street in the heart of New York City became her home for 11 consecutive shows, September 4th through 14th, 1979, the longest run in the hall's history to that point. Not only that, every show in the 5-level, 2,804-seat auditorium was sold out. The record would be broken in 1987 when an artist played 3 straight weeks of 17 sold-out shows there. The artist? Liza Minnelli. The road to Carnegie Hall began while Liza was appearing on Broadway in George Firth, John Kander, and Fred Ebb's musical, The Act. Even as she was packing houses at the Majestic, she was planning a new concert tour on which she would be supported by 12 fellas in the orchestra and 2 gifted singer-dancers. Filling those crucial roles were the act's Roger Minami, who danced with Liza as the titular by-appointment-only character in the show's saucy Arthur in the Afternoon, and Oba Bubatunde, fresh off his Broadway debut in Timbuktu alongside Eartha Kitt and Melba Moore. As an aside, I think there was actually just recently an interview done that was posted here on YouTube not that long ago with him. I still need to watch it, but I saw that it was posted, so I was really excited to see that. Anyway. When the act closed on July 1st, 1978, rehearsals for that concert tour commenced. After 2 rigorous months of writing, arranging, choreographing, and holding arduous run-throughs, Liza, writer, director, producer Fred Ebb, and choreographer Ron Lewis were satisfied. The show kicked off on September 1st in Saratoga, New York. The 2-act program would play the United States, Canada, Brazil, and throughout Europe before returning 1 year later to the city where it all began for the run of shows that include those on this CD set. The initial announcement on the Carnegie Hall engagement was understated. Liza in concert at Carnegie Hall read the black and white ad in the Sunday New York Times. Tickets priced between $7.50 and $25. Can you imagine? Went on sale the next morning, and Liza's fans, hot with anticipation, snapped them up quickly. The debut seemed long overdue. The superstar had only played Carnegie Hall once before as part of a benefit on January 10, 1965. Times journalist John Rockwell interviewed her for the newspaper's September 10, 1979 edition. Chatting with him in the Russian tea room, Minnelli ruminated on the adulation with which she had been greeted. Someone said to me after opening night, "I think I know what it is. You give everybody hope. It's everything positive that people want to hear." She also acknowledged two remarkable women who had both commanded Carnegie's stage before her. Mama and Piaf were very fragile and vulnerable. With me, it's like, come on, let's go. I think everybody likes to see people who enjoy what they're doing. That joy radiated at Carnegie Hall. All sides of Minnelli's artistry were on display from the moment she stepped onto Lawrence Miller's multi-tiered set, clad in Halston's haute couture, the searing intensity of George and Ira Gershwin's The Man I Love, the passionate fire of Jules Stein and Stephen Sondheim's Gypsy Showstopper Some People, and the comforting balm of Melissa Manchester and Carol Bayer Sager's Coming from the Rain. Performing in front of a New York audience on the city's most famous stage, Liza generated a powerful frisson with a roof-raising medley of 10 Big Apple anthems culminating in Kander and Ebb's theme from New York, New York, to bring the curtain down on Act 1. There were so many subtleties, notes Abba Babatunde. When we did I Guess the Lord Must Be in New York City in the medley, our voices were married into the arrangement and the choreography so beautifully. The connection with Liza was hand in glove. The same tight-knit relationship extended to the musicians. When Arnie Lawrence did that saxophone solo before How Long Has This Been Going On, Arnie and Liza were breathing as one, Babatunde shares. By the way, there's also this picture on this page, because otherwise we'll miss it when we go to turn for this article. Babatunde and Minami each shone brightly in their spotlight numbers. Minami's recreation of his athletic turn in Arthur in the Afternoon was followed by Babatunde's solo embodiment of another memorable Kander and Ebb creation, Mr. Cellophane, from their 1975 musical Chicago. Bill Byers' orchestration was tailor-made for Oba's interpretation. It's different than Ralph Burns' Chicago arrangement and complemented what I did on stage. He, Byers, knew my voice. Every single beat and breath lived in us, and that's magic. Minami and Babatunde led the choreographic showcase set to Dance Across the Floor, a throbbing disco tune by Casey and the Sunshine Band's Harry Wayne Casey and Richard Finch, which was a hit for Jimmy Bohorn in 1978. It was very challenging to dance to. The most complicated kind of stuff that you had to make look fluid and smooth, Babatunde reveals. Ron Lewis's choreography was gut-wrenching. He did most of the show, and Wayne Cilento did the New York medley and some of City Lights. Ron would drill us over and over and dig deeper and deeper. The choreography was what I call hand and finger specific. When that hand was at your side and your fingers were spread, it wasn't kind of there. It was exact. Liza was there the entire time. She worked as hard as we did, and our musical director, Blaze, Bill Lavorgna, whom she called Pappy. For Act 2, Liza introduced a musical in miniature with a dramatic melding of 3 disparate songs into a marriage trilogy, charting the arc of a relationship with Leslie Bricuss's You and I, Leslie Bricuss, I always mess that up, Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt's The Honeymoon Is Over, and Charles Aznavour and Fred Ebb's Happy Anniversary. Then she effortlessly slipped back into her Academy Award-winning role of Sally Bowles for Kander and Ebb's Cabaret, while her indomitable rendition of the duo's But the World Goes Round showed hope and optimism even in the face of hardship. In less than 2 hours, Minnelli channeled the entire spectrum of emotion with honesty, authenticity, and sheer pizzazz. The city lights of which she so memorably sang never burned brighter. The force and the power that the music had, that thrust, that drive, that guttural quality, was in everything that we did, Babatunde explains, praising Minnelli's commitment to precision. It had to be perfect. The musical notes, the dance, the synchronization, the connection to the music, and to each other were exact and precise. "Isn't New York great?" Andy Warhol once asked Liza. Ha! You're asking me? She quizzically replied. I sing about it every chance I get. New York returned the compliment. In his September 6, 1979 Times review of her Carnegie opening, John S. Wilson wrote, Liza Minnelli came into Carnegie Hall on Tuesday evening, trailing an impressive collection of awards behind her. 3 Tonys, an Oscar, and an Emmy. But when she leaves Carnegie Hall a week from tomorrow, after a run of 11 nights, she will be taking with her something far more important than awards. In Liza in Concert, Miss Minnelli has made that rare quantum leap from a status as an exciting performer to the fully controlled realization of her very impressive talents as an entertainer. Wilson lavished praise upon Livornia, a dynamic drummer who presided from the upper regions of the stage, casting down percussive commandments like a musical Moses, Babatunde and Minami's execution of the choreography, and the staging by Minnelli's longtime confidant and mentor, Fred Ebb. Wilson also observed that the lyricist of Cabaret in Chicago helmed the concert with skill and perception, showcasing Minnelli to such brilliant effect. Variety concurred. Minnelli brings it all home, punching, driving, singing, moving, carrying an audience with her to a bursting, rising tribute which threatens to go on forever, the trade papers review enthused. One knows that one has spent the evening in the presence of one of the best performers of our time. Writing for Gannett newspapers, Jacques Lesourd called the show dynamite from start to finish. Liza galvanized the venerable hall in a way I have never seen. She dispenses enough controlled energy in 2 hours to power the entire metropolitan area for a decade. Jerry Parker in Newsday asked, are there any other performers these days who knock themselves out for an audience the way Liza does? Perhaps intuiting that these were landmark shows and a career filled with them, Liza arranged to record the performances of September 4th, 5th, and 6th for an eventual independent release. The tour concluded on November 25th, 1979 at New Orleans' Theater of Performing Arts. Both the November 24th shows were taped by HBO for the cable network's Standing Room Only series, with airings beginning in March 1980, and ABC's 2020 featured footage from the closing night on its January 24th, 1980 broadcast. When Liza resumed touring in March 1981, it was an all-new show and a special guest, her Cabaret co-star Joel Grey, and she had a special treat for her audiences. Beginning on August 19, 1981 at the Garden State Arts Center in Holmdel, New Jersey, fans attending Liza's concerts had the opportunity to purchase the lavish gatefold double album Live at Carnegie Hall, produced by Hank Cattaneo and Bill Livornia. Its transcendent cover was unmistakably the work of Andy Warhol. In 1978, Minnelli had commissioned a portrait from the pop art pioneer. He remembered their photo session in his diary entry of February 17, 1978. She was a little nervous to begin with, but she was wearing the right makeup, and all the pictures came out good. John Lennon stopped by during the shoot, and Warhol recalled friends of his personal assistant, Catherine Guinness, incredulously whispering, "Can you believe this? Liza Minnelli, John Lennon. She calls this work?" Numerous photos were snapped that day, but Warhol used just one Polaroid as the basis of 3 works silkscreened on paper and tore on canvas. Liza purchased all 4 of the now famous canvas portraits. Here's another photo real quick. There's this one from Arthur in the Afternoon. Okay. I think we're getting near the end of this article. Yeah, we are. Warhol selected Minnelli to appear on the cover of the September 1979 issue of Interview, supporting her in the build-up to the Carnegie Hall debut, and attended the opening night festivities. Liza opted to use one of the 4 portraits as the Live at Carnegie Hall cover. For the package designed by the Ash Ladona advertising agency, the layout of the original was altered. To accommodate the lettering on top, Liza's head was moved down and part of her shoulders cut off. Warhol himself had previously adopted similar framing, cutting off the shoulders for his 1978 screen prints on paper. I actually had never really noticed that. Speaking in 2011 with Brett Gorvey of Christie's Auction House, Minnelli reminisced about a portrait Warhol had gifted her when her Tony nomination for the act was initially announced. There seems to be so much love and care that went into the making of it. This was so stunningly simple, and I think it captures our friendship. She won the coveted statuette, her second as Best Actress in a Musical, on June 4th, 1978. While Live at Carnegie Hall followed Liza's solo live albums for A&M and Columbia, the celebratory release was filled with new and otherwise unrecorded material, a reflection of her desire to, as she explained, make my Carnegie Hall shows a piece of presentational theater. I wanted each song to be an acting piece, a complete character. This document of those acclaimed theatrical concerts electrified from the first downbeat on the opening How Long Has This Been Going On? It's a Miracle medley through the final bows. But the 2 LP set, also briefly available on audio cassette, had limited distribution in the United States and was issued internationally only in Australia and New Zealand to coincide with her Australian tour of September and October of 1981. Liza went on to record further triumphs at Radio City Music Hall, Broadway's Palace Theatre, Palais de Congrès, and beyond, including her 1987 return to Carnegie Hall stage. However, the 1981 release remained cherished by those who attended the original shows and by those who discovered it in later years or through the HBO special and its home video issues. Despite its significant place in the Minnelli discography, Live at Carnegie Hall was largely unavailable for decades. Now, Liza's dazzling stand at the historic venue can be experienced anew in 2 unique presentations. Live in New York, 1979, the Ultimate Edition, newly retitled to avoid confusion with her 1987 album, which is smart, opens with a remastered version of the original 2 LP set on disc 1. Though it vibrantly captures the abundant spirit and sheer sizzle of the concerts, several songs were omitted and the show was slightly resequenced to accommodate the limitations of vinyl. And also, another photo for you guys to appreciate. Discs 2 and 3 of the Ultimate Edition premiere. The complete show is painstakingly restored and mixed by Ted Carfrae from the multi-track tapes recorded on September 4th through 6th, 1979. All 6 songs cut from the original album have reinstated, beginning with an a cappella verse from Harry Warren and Johnny Mercer's on the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe, a poignant nod from Liza to her mama, and continuing with a brassy rendition of James Taylor's Everybody Has the Blues. Liza and Oba's sweet duet of Cole Porter's You Do Something to Me, and Arthur in the Afternoon, Mr. Cellophane, and Dance Across the Floor. Liza Minnelli's Live in New York, 1979, the Ultimate Edition, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Vividly brings to life a singular moment in the career of the extraordinary entertainer and artist who's still making music today. Her most recent recording, a tender and affecting take on George and Ira Gershwin's Embraceable You with her dear friend Michael Feinstein, appeared on Feinstein's 2022 album Gershwin Country. It was one of the most phenomenal times of my life, Oba Babatunde says in reflecting on the historic shows compiled in this set. I could do the show tonight. It lives in my head. That's how ensconced in my total being it is. His words affirm Liza's own explanation of her visceral, expressive style. In this art form performance, what you are looking for is to get rid of anything that's not the truth. Suddenly you find yourself relying on gestures, a certain kind of song. Kick it away, it's something you're leaning on. What you want is to be able to stand without any tricks in the light, to be pure, to be truthful. Live in New York, 1979, is the thrilling sound of that truth. It's a miracle indeed. From Joe Marchese, thesecondisc.com, written in July 2021, revised in May of 2022. So, we still have this much more of the booklet to go, but I'm gonna pause right here because A, I'm running out of breath, and 2, I'm gonna go eat, so I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. The lighting has changed because now it's nighttime. Oops. So, we're gonna continue where we left off. We're still on this page, which is only page 12 out of like 36. I'm like, god damn, this is a chunky booklet, but I love it. Loving it. So, next article in here is Capturing Magic, Recording Liza at Carnegie Hall. Music concerts are notoriously difficult events to record. Hall acoustics, size of the ensemble, the number of amplified instruments, and the singer's vocal style must all be considered and adjusted for. Then there's the element that makes an in-person recording so vibrant and exciting, the audience and their response. In weighing whether to tape a show, or more often a series of shows, the label, artist, and recording engineers have much to consider, not the least of which is the considerable expense involved. In this instance, we owe a tremendous debt to the artist herself, as it was Liza, along with the sound man and producer Hank Cataneo and music director slash drummer Bill Livornia, who decided to record the first 3 shows of her magnificent 1979 run at Carnegie Hall and pay for it herself. I was asked to produce the album by Liza's attorney Mickey Rudin and her manager Elliot Weissman, recalls Cataneo. Although she was popular with audiences on all parts of the musical spectrum, I was disappointed when we couldn't interest any of the major labels in releasing it. It was a work of art. It was great. The electrifying program, a truly sensational moment in American pop music, was edited and mixed in 1981 and released as a double LP by Altel Sound Systems to be sold by Liza at future concerts and by RCA Victor in New Zealand and Australia. I think that's actually the release I've got, is the RCA one. Until 2021, those LPs, in short supply, remained the sole document of what turned out to be a landmark for both Liza and Carnegie Hall. For over 40 years, the original multi-track master tapes for the dress rehearsal and 3 concerts recorded in 1979 lay dormant in Liza's personal vault. When her close friend Michael Feinstein discovered them there, he immediately recognized their value and sent them to the Library of Congress for preservation. It was at producer Joe Marchese's suggestion that we approached Liza and Michael, had the tapes transferred, and decided to reissue the long out-of-print concert as an exclusive album set pressed on pink vinyl for Barnes & Noble in 2021. Those special recordings were made on location by recording engineer David Hewitt at the record plant's Black Beauty mobile recording truck, one of the first remote recording units in New York City, patterned after those built by West Coast recording engineer Wally Hyder. Recording at Carnegie Hall in 1979 wasn't easy because of strict union and house rules pertaining to what equipment was allowed into the building, how and where microphones could be located, and who could physically adjust them. Parking the truck and running cables from street to stage was a hassle, too. So, despite this, Hewitt captured all the frenetic energy of Liza's landmark performances with such faithfulness that musicians present at the creation who've auditioned this newly remixed edition call it stunning. In recording these concerts, engineer Hewitt, who called the experience fantastic, employed a 44-input API console, Ampex MM 1200 16-track analog recorders, and a complement of Shure SM57/58, Neumann U87, AKG C451, and Sennheiser 421 microphones. If any of you guys know what that means, cool. It's over my head. Tape stock used was Ampex 456. The multi-track session reels were later edited, mixed and mastered for the original LP set by Chuck Irwin and Hank Cataneo at the record plant in NYC. When Real Gone Music and Second Disc Records reissued the original Altel/RCA Victor version of the album on LP in 2021, we chose to utilize the original 2-track analog album masters created by Chuck Irwin and Hank Cataneo, applying subtle production techniques to remove extraneous noises, smooth out rough edits, and create consistent transitions between album sides. That remastering of the original mix makes its digital debut on CD 1 of this deluxe package. The real gems, however, are featured on CDs 2 and 3 and consist of the complete concert in its order of performance, including the numbers omitted from the original 2 LP set released in 1981. Fortunately, we had the multi-track masters to work from in doing this, which allowed us to create a completely reimagined version of this brilliant series of concerts. The process began with comparing and selecting the best unissued performances from the 3 shows recorded and restoring all the songs not included on the original LP. In editing, remixing, and remastering each track in its final sequence, we discovered hidden instrumental sounds that begged to be brought forth and highlighted. Working closely with mixing and mastering engineer Ted Carfrae, I think it's Carfrae, we identified areas where previously buried instrumental phrases and solos could be emphasized, removed noises and other anomalies, microphone bumps, coughs, hall noises, etc. that were distracting, and polished Liza's voice so as to shine. I had toured with Liza as her sound man for 20 years, and I was very concerned about a lot of things when it came to the live sound and the recordings that were being made at Carnegie Hall, explains Hank Cataneo. Liza is a perfectionist, she is her own best director, and knows exactly what she wants at every step. She works a microphone beautifully too. What we were able to accomplish with those shows was magical and still holds up today. This was written by Charles L. Granada, and he is a record and radio producer and the author of 6 books on music and pop culture. So next page we have this photo here, which I don't think I've ever seen before today, so that's pretty cool, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is this necklace right here not the same one she wears in the final scene of Arthur? I think it is. I'm pretty sure, like, I would put money on it. I am almost positive it is. Anyway, so this next section, let me take a sip of my drink first. Okay. When I was asked if I wanted to remix this Liza Minnelli concert, I immediately said yes. It is a dream come true to be associated with one of the greatest performers of all time. The challenge of remixing and creating the definitive, full version of this classic concert was a true honor. I had access to all the multi-track tapes recorded over 3 nights, and from a technical perspective, the tapes were in need of a fair amount of audio restoration before I could start mixing. Live albums are problematic by nature due to the inherent noise issues associated with recording in an uncontrolled environment, but in this case the transfers were pretty good, so I was able to restore the audio considerably. Liza's vocals were my main consideration. I wanted to hear every nuance and every breath that brings these performances to life. I wanted her to sound intimate and authentic. I wanted to retain the palpable atmosphere that only happens when an artist truly connects with an audience, surrounded by fine musicians that framed her so perfectly. I wanted it to be exciting yet fresh for the 21st century. Hopefully I have done justice to this incredible moment in musical history. During my long career as a sound engineer and producer, I have been so fortunate to have worked with many of the greatest vocalists that have ever lived. To be able to add the great Liza Minnelli to that list at this stage of my life leaves me speechless. It was, quite simply, a labor of love. That was written by Ted Carfrae, however you say his name. I apologize for butchering it every time I come upon it. Okay. One of Liza's 12 fellows remembers trumpeter Ross Konikoff on Liza at Carnegie Hall. I did Liza's show The Act in 1977 after 3 years with Buddy Rich. The contractor who had called me for the act, Mel Rodman, used to play alto for Buddy and said he loved my playing with him. Out of that big orchestra on stage, drummer Bill Livornia and bassist Jay Leonhardt, I think, were sitting next to me. We were all stretched out, straight line in the back. Liza would goof around with the band once in a while, and by the end, we had tightened up. Bill and Jay had told me that Liza wanted to take 12 guys out on the road to tour with her. They asked me if I would be one. The other trumpet player was Victor Paz, also from The Act. Victor was so good, a legendary trumpet player. He was perfect. He just died a couple of years ago, but we stayed friends. I played second trumpet with him for about 22 years in a row between The Act. Liza and the musical Cats. That was the band. We went to Carol's rehearsal studio for 2 months, and at the end of the act, we put together the Carnegie Hall show. Every day, hours and hours, playing the tunes over and over and over again. Liza and Fred Ebb were there, and they got it to a point where it was just absolutely pure entertainment. There was not a word wasted. I had a ball on that gig. We rehearsed for 2 months every day that same show, every word, and everybody in the world had come to the rehearsals. One day Michael Jackson came in. I had just heard the Off the Wall album, which was a really big band album with those Quincy Jones charts. The horns were just fantastic. He and Liza were just standing there talking, so I said, "This is my shot." I walked over and Michael turned to me. I told him that his idea to bring Quincy in to produce the album was brilliant. That album kills me, and I'm not easily impressed. He looked kind of scared and didn't say anything, but it was kind of fun to tell him that the album was a killer. The rehearsals were to get the show so perfect that nothing could go wrong. The band was so good and so rehearsed that the show was pristine. Liza was in her prime, and we were just roaring and ready to go. By the time we got into Carnegie, we were on fire. In 1996, after years of playing in the Cats Orchestra on Broadway, Liza called me and said, "Come on back, we need another trumpet," so I came back. We did a Russian tour and did some fun stuff. We played a few years like that, and I kept doing Cats too. In 2002, Liza asked me to form a new band. I called as many of the old guys that I knew, and we started touring again. Until 2015, we just stayed out on the road. Michael Feinstein called he called us to do a fashion show in 2018 for Dolce & Gabbana. We had a nice little reunion with Liza, and she was great, and we played a few tunes. I love this new mix of the Carnegie Hall show. It's spectacular. I was stunned about how good it was, and I'm so proud of it. I couldn't believe how good it and the trumpets sounded. The original recording didn't have much horns. They weren't really enough, as far as I was concerned. I loved getting a big fat sound. On 12 Fellas, my sound was huge, and this mix brought it out. I'm astonished by the sound of these tracks. Hank Cataneo was the best sound guy in the business. Okay, we have this photo here, again from the City Lights number, I'm pretty sure, which is a fabulous one. Okay, taking another sip real quick. Up to page 19 now. It's a quick read anyway, kind of, sort of. Oba Babatunde remembers his audition. Although I have many, many incredible memories of working with my dear friend Liza Minnelli, one of my favorites is what happened when I auditioned for her as she was preparing the tour that included the Carnegie Hall shows on this album. I was doing Timbuktu with Eartha Kitt at the Mart Hellinger Theater, and Liza was 7 blocks south appearing in the act at the Majestic. I didn't know it, but she and choreographer Ron Lewis had come to a matinee performance of Timbuktu. That evening, I got a note on the call board. Call Liza. It didn't say Liza Minnelli, it just said call Liza. I thought somebody was playing a joke on me. The next night, I came to work and saw the same note again. Call Liza. I turned to the stage doorman, one of those classic old guys with a hat and a chewed up 2-inch long cigar, and asked him who Liza was. Look, I just take the messages, he growls. You either call or you don't call. So I called. A male voice answered the phone and put Liza on. Who is this? I asked. It's Liza, she answered. Liza who? She paused. Minnelli, she said. I paused. Then she explained. Ron and I saw your performance yesterday, and we think you're wonderful. Still in disbelief, I said, You're doing a show at the Majestic. I'm coming over there right now to make sure this is you. When I arrived, I was escorted in. I couldn't believe it. Wow, it is you, I exclaimed. She told me that she was doing a concert tour and needed one additional person to dance and duet with. She had already cast Roger Minani, who was in the act with her. Would I mind coming to audition? The audition was the next day at the Minskoff Studios. If there was one guy in the room, there was 150. They were cutting 10 at a time. Bam, 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 done. They got down to 4 of us, then down to 2 of us, me and one other guy. Until then, Ron Lewis and Roger Minami had been the only ones in the room. Now I'd have to sing for Liza, Fred Ebb, and John Kander. The other guy and I went in to meet them, and they asked, who wants to sing first? I offered to let the other guy sing first and left the room. When I came back, I auditioned with If You Believe from The Wiz, using all of these hand gestures I had devised. You have a lovely voice, Fred Ebb said. Now put your hands behind your back, sing it again, and don't move. And I did. I never sang the song better. Next we had to dance with Liza. The guy that I'm auditioning with is showing how amazing a dancer he is. When it was my turn, I matched Liza's moves, every single nuance, pow, bam, boom, bang. When we were done, they said, okay guys, step out a second. The other guy and I go into the hallway, and a moment later I hear, Oba, come back in. Liza says, I've made my choice. Fred says, I've made mine. John says, I love your voice. The 3 of them looked at each other. Who's going to tell the guy out in the hall? They wondered aloud. They called the young man in and thanked him. What? He sputtered. We want to thank you so much, they repeated. He was really mad. Oh, it's like that. Thanks. He got his dance bag, threw it over his shoulder, walked out and slammed the door. I'll never forget it. Liza breathed a sigh of relief and said, we just dodged a bullet. From that moment on, Liza and I became one, and we are still close friends to this day. Oh my god, I love that story. That's amazing. And there's this photo right here, and this is the guy in question in case anyone is unaware of who he is. Okay. The next page, oh, we got more photos. We have this one up here. And we also have these 2 over here, which I'm trying to tilt it so there's no glare and you can see it. But you should, for real, like, pick the CD up and, like, have all of this. A fan's perspective. Don Barry remembers Liza's closing night at Carnegie Hall. Amongst Liza Minnelli enthusiasts, collector Don Barry reigns supreme. His documentation of and devotion to her career qualifies him as both a bona fide Liza Minnelli historian and one of the world's premier authorities on her work. In September of 1979, Don attended the dress rehearsal and 5 subsequent performances for Liza's Carnegie Hall engagement, including opening and closing nights. Here are his memories of that unforgettable experience. Carnegie Hall crackled with a special brand of energy on the evening of September 14, 1979, the night when Liza Minnelli closed her first, now legendary engagement at the venerable hall. The city buzzed with excitement from this much ballyhooed string of concerts. Everyone who was anyone came to adore the effervescent Minnelli, including the Studio 54 crowd. Andy Warhol, theater stars, movie bigwigs, A-list singers, Mama's generation, and her own legion of fans from around the world. It was an event of the highest order. From the moment Liza walked on stage, from behind the breathtaking cityscape scene crafted for her band, singing How Long Has This Been Going On, a cappella, until 2 hours later, she had every attendee in the palm of her hand. She could do no wrong. Closing nights are usually special, but this one had the air of a once-in-a-lifetime moment. When the singer beautifully reached for those signature extra octaves right off the bat, we knew that it would be an evening we'd remember for the rest of our lives. Song after song, the Love Fest became a transcendent experience. The first half ended with a rousing, rafter-shaking theme from New York, New York, just in time for a collective catch from the audience breath. I remember the chatter around me. Practically everyone was asking, how will she ever top this first hour? During the break, we in the audience compared notes. Have you ever heard her so on fire? Can you believe the veracity of the man I love, the growl in her voice when she sang the words blueberry pie in Some People, the high kick in the spectacular New York medley, or tingles in our spines during the New York, New York climax? We all agreed that we were witnessing Liza's finest hour. The second half didn't disappoint. She performed City Lights with more joy than ever before, painfully crushed our hearts with the Marriage Trilogy, and finally brought us home with the most stunning renditions of Cabaret, Shine on Harvest Moon, and But the World Goes Round. However, the ultimate moment occurred at the end of the evening when Liza spontaneously did something that, to many of us, became one of her career-defining moments. After the elation of the encore of the second act, and in a scene reminiscent of her mom's iconic 1961 appearance on that very same stage, the audience refused to leave. Capping that night, Halston had come on stage to present our girl with a stunning floral bouquet, of which there's a photo I'll show you in a minute. We stomped our feet and chanted, Liza, 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 until she came back to deliver a stunning rendition of My Mammy. It was sheer bedlam as she went down on one knee for the final notes as Carnegie Hall resounded with enthusiastic cheers of thanks, appreciation, and love. The sad ending to this part of the story is that the professional tape recorders weren't rolling on closing night. Oh, no! The mobile sound truck had only captured Liza's first 3 concerts, and this dazzling interpretation of the classic was undocumented except for a handful of audience members, including me, who covertly recorded the show from our seats. But the night wasn't quite over. The shouting and chants continued until Liza came back to the stage, this time in her bathrobe for another bow. Again we stayed, exhausted from the excitement of the evening, until, no lie, the lights came up and officers from the New York City Police Department came on stage and ordered us to leave the building. I'm certain the over-the-top response thrilled Liza, although it may have frightened those administrators who thought things might get even wilder and cause a riot in the hall. To this day, that historic run of concerts survive as the definitive example of Liza's brilliance, and thanks to these very recordings, I still get chills revisiting these incredible nights on West 57th Street. Here's the picture of her with Halston, which is so cute. And another one that I've never seen before today. Love the go-go boots. They are amazing. Okay. And then there's a section in here called Liza Tributes. First quote is from Ben Vereen. There is only one Liza Minnelli, and as you listen to her, you too will agree. This is style at its best. Listen to Liza as I have for years, and will continue to do so forevermore, and you will know how absolutely beautiful and incredible she is. A true storyteller. With love from me and quote-unquote, my Liza, Ben Vereen. I'm lucky enough to perform with Liza several times, and each second is electrifying. She is the most generous and vulnerable performer I've ever seen. Her vulnerability is not only authentic, but she also understands how much we enjoy being privy to it. So when we worry for her, her ultimate triumph is also a cause for us to rejoice. Everything about Liza is the epitome of showbiz catharsis and effortlessness. Once I just couldn't get a dance move right. After patiently trying to teach me, she finally said, Just make it your own. That's what she's done, and that is what I will always strive to do. Alan Cumming. One artist, one voice, one Liza. Gita Rivera. My old friend Liza is a force to be reckoned with. God bless her. That's from Nancy Sinatra. Oh, we have a long one from Billy. I first met Liza Minnelli in March of 1991, and in one night my life was forever changed. I was holding down the ivories at a New York piano bar, and I guess she liked the way I played. The fact that I played the theme from The Bad and the Beautiful, one of her father's movies, didn't hurt. Within a week, I was doing vocal arrangements for her Radio City Music Hall extravaganza. Can you believe? We became inseparable, and I spent the next 25 years traveling and touring and creating music with her. I always say that every piece of music I arranged for Liza was a collaboration, and that's because she always comes up with great ideas, and her music taste is unimpeachable. She's very specific about what she wants to hear, and that makes arranging things for her more fun and rewarding. Of course, I was a devoted fan long before we met, and the music on this album is one of the reasons. How wonderful to hear it again and be reminded of Liza's brilliance. She is quite simply the greatest performer of them all. No one better. From Billy Stritch. I was thrilled and honored that Liza performed Comin' from the Rain many times. Of the many artists I'm grateful to who recorded it, everybody brings their specific imprint onto the song because the song is the vehicle. It's a singable monologue, and because Liza is an actress, a formidable actress, she really brought her heart and soul to it. And that's always been thrilling to know that she performed it so many times and took to it so deeply. Now that there is this official recording of her Carnegie Hall concert, is just so amazing. That was from Melissa Manchester. Liza brings so much energy to any stage she steps onto. She has the unique ability to captivate an audience with her smile and her charismatic charm. I've had the great privilege of working with her over the years and enjoyed every moment. There's truly no one like the living legend Liza Minnelli. That's from Donny Osmond. First of all, Liza Minnelli is show business royalty. She has conquered many frontiers not only as a singer but as an Oscar award-winning actress as well, and of course, the girl can dance. Michael Feinstein and Liza are the perfect match. Michael, with his knowledge of the American Songbook, and especially his expertise in the archives of the George and Ira Gershwin material, only made it even more perfect for the two of them to perform together. This material is absolutely brilliant. That's from Frida Payne. I love Liza and her artistry. In a word, awesome. And that's from Tony Orlando. Oh, we have more back here. My relationship with Liza has run the gamut. First I was a fan, then a friend, then finally a co-worker on a 2008 Broadway show called Liza's at the Palace. To share the stage, let alone the stage at the Palace, with someone who was quite literally born to be there, was a wondrous thrill. In rehearsal one day, Liza asked for a particular hand movement. She described what she wanted by saying, "There should be lightning bolts shooting from your fingernails." That sums up the Minnelli performance style. Every step, gesture, and glance is fire, as the kids say. Even in rehearsal, Liza has no time for the mark. Let me try that again. Even in rehearsal, Liza has no time for marking. It's always full out, baby. At the end of the day, the rest of us would be crawling out of the studio like wet dish rags, and fresh as a daisy, Liza would shout, "Who's for burgers at Joe Allen?" Liza's love of great songs, stories, and musicians is certainly key to her success. The respect she feels for her audience is unique and admirable, but in the end, there's that voice, a kaleidoscope of color and passion. Liza's take-no-prisoners approach creates a performing delirium that I will forever admire and obsess over. Liza Minnelli is one of the most spectacular live performers of her generation, and I think this reissue proves that to be true. That's from Jim Caruso. I'm like, love him so much. Liza was to me what Fred Ebb was to her, constructing and directing every nightclub act I ever did, my mentor in real life, Auntie Mame, since I was 11 years old. She gave me one of the original release vinyls of this recording 1 year as a gift, and I'm so happy that this epic recording's time has finally arrived. It's Liza at her absolute best, a masterclass in performance, and quite possibly one of the greatest concert acts of all time. I challenge anyone to find a more jaw-dropping, captivating, electric, dynamic, honest, and moving performer. I doubt you will. Now it's from Nicholas King. Oh, by the way, there's another photo over here, so you guys can appreciate it. Another wonderful one. I wish everyone could feel what I felt when I listened to this new recording. I laughed, I cried, and I relived every single moment. It is beautiful, it is poignant, it is necessary for the world. And that's from Abba Babatunde. It was a great afternoon. Liza was at her absolute thrilling best. I will remember it always. And that was from John Kander. In addition to her enormous talent as a performer, she's like the sister I never had, and I couldn't love her or respect her anymore. And that's from Joel Gray. Aww. And we have more photos over here. We've got another one from this set, and one over here. We're almost done, guys. And then we just have all the song credits, and one more photo back here. And then back here, there's more credits. And this photo over here. Okay. In Liza in Concert, Liza Minnelli has made that rare quantum leap from a status as an exciting performer to the fully controlled realization of her very impressive talents as an entertainer, shifting from inner intensity to outward vocal power, but never losing the fine lines of her vocal control. The essence of her vocal range is summed up in intensity purely on the basis of the projected strength of her involvement. She is very secure in her vocal movements, and she can deliver high or low, with gorgeous colors and fascinating textures along with her power. Miss Minnelli is in charge. Written by John S. Wilson for the New York Times on September 6, 1979. Then, with gratitude to Fred Ebb, we have Liza's signature right here. And that is the final page of the booklet. So I must admit, that is very, very well put together. And I am super stoked and excited to go listen to this and report back to you guys what I think of it in a separate video, because this video is already like almost an hour long. I'm definitely doing the review of the album itself in a separate video, like tomorrow, maybe the next day if time gets away from me. But anyway, thanks for sticking around through all this. Hopefully I was able to show off everything in this set for the unboxing that you may have wanted to see. So anyways, that's it for this one, guys. You know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.